Safe to say, this time I think I've took the fisheye thing a little bit too far. This 8mm 3.5 EXDG fisheye isn't quite the fisheye for me, and I'm going to explain why, but also why I might put a little bid in for this. Now you see, when you put this on a full frame body, you're getting a very circular image, 90s hip-hop videos, skateboard videos style, but that's not my thing. I mean, you're going to be using it for some amazing creative shots. It's great fun. I love to get all of that ambience into the frame, and I love ultra wide, and a fisheye does that for you, but it still has a very limited use. I mean, you're not going to use a fisheye on every shot on a wedding. Barely 5% of your wedding shots will probably from a fisheye if you're sensible. But really, fisheye lenses aren't all about being sensible at all, and maybe that's where this 8mm has its strength. On a crop body, you do get rid of most of that circular waste in the frame, as you probably noticed in the intro. Actually, you might not have noticed because it's so crazy, it's so different from what the eye normally sees, what we normally see in general run-of-the-mill photography, field of view, etc., that it's, you know, it is kind of fun. So we want to put this to some test and see what's what. The lens itself is very well made, nice and solid. Apparently has some good special low dispersion glass in there. Focal length of 8mm. Obviously magnify that if you're using it on the crop body, but it still comes under that type of a fisheye lens. Construction wise, you've got 6 groups, 11 elements, and something that's for me kind of nice is a 3.5 aperture. Of course, for the most part, you're going to be getting everything. Shallow depth of field is not necessarily a big deal with this, but check out the samples. Comes with a nice solid lens cap, and technically it does have a hood. You've got a bit more protection there. Slight bulbous effect doesn't make a difference once you've got the cap on. Also, and I've had Sigma lenses in the past, and I do like the cases that they come with. They really do put some thought into what they're selling you, because when you're carrying your lenses around, well, yeah, you can buy cases, you can just put the lens itself straight into your camera bag, but these are nice. And one thing that Sigma paid attention to when they made or got somebody to make these is the belt loop. That makes it very handy. Stick that on, flick it round the side of your belt, and you've got your lens living in there, ready to go. That's a nice little feature. But I mean, looking on Amazon right now, and it's going from £465, probably cheaper in American dollars at the moment. Same old boring money Brexit conversion thing, but it's what we deal with in the UK. There are other lenses that look like they're worth considering. The Samyang, which to all intents and purposes is going to be manual focus. Again, not a huge deal on a fisheye, but $235 for that one. Canon EF 8-15, which we're hoping to review very soon. That is, well, £984, 33 pence, so quite a bit more, but definitely want to be checking that lens out. You've got an Opteka 6.5, 3.5. I'm going to guess that's manual focus. It'll be a miracle if it's not, as it's £135. So a few other lenses worth checking out, and others. I think there's a Sigma 15mm as well. Enough waffle. Let's get up some samples, and I'll let you know what I think at the end of it, and if I'm going to put a cheeky bid into Clive. Oh, and Clive, if you are actually watching this, how much you give it me for? By the way, people, Clive is actually selling this, so I'll leave a link below if you're interested in buying it, if you're in the UK, or you're going to pay the postage. The thing's in great nick. It's absolutely mint. From what he told me, he only used it on a few shots at weddings. Yeah, a little bit of wear around the not particularly easy to turn. Focus, there we go. The focus ring is actually nice and smooth if you flick it down into manual. If not, obviously it's going to fight because it's engaged for autofocus. Yeah, a little bit of white wear there, that'll come off. Might clean it up for you, Clive. Anyway, sample time. By sample time I mean I want to get out and have a play with it, so I'll see you after this. Quite obviously, I didn't really use it on the full frame bodies because frankly, I wanted to get the circular effect out of this as much as possible. I know that's what this lens is all about, but I wanted to defish it a little bit, make it a little bit more, well, just make the most of the frame a bit more. Now there is a plugin that can do that for you, Fisheye Hemi plugin. It's not quite perfect, not as it was on my Nikon fisheye lens, but it still makes this extra usable. And that's the point really. I wanted to test this straight out the camera and see how it works wide open. This lens would perform better stopped down. It just wasn't sharp enough wide open, except bizarrely for stuff that was close up, throwing the focus out and having a macro style thing, you know, going on. But that's not what I'm really that bothered about a fisheye lens for, but it is quite fun. Talking about value for money is difficult because value for money is a personal thing. This used to be a $1,200 lens. It dropped down, and now, at least in pounds, looking at today's price, you can get it around £700 brand new or just under £500. And if you're using it for your business, maybe Google 360 stuff still, that could be fine for you. But I want to carry on the search. I'm not entirely convinced I've found the Canon fisheye for me, not yet. The colours were nice out of this thing. The sharpness, as I said, so could be improved on. The distortion was a little bit too extreme for me, and I'm a fisheye fan. Let's just repeat that. Fisheye Hemi plugin did even that out a little bit for me, but even then it didn't work as well as my Nikon fisheye doubled up with the Fisheye Hemi plugin would. Now you don't have to defish everything, otherwise you just get an ultra wide lens, but that plugin makes a fisheye lens, for me anyway, extra useful. And that's what I loved about my Nikon 10.528 and the Fisheye Hemi plugin. But this still left me with a bit of work to do. If you're shooting raw, that's probably not a big deal for you. If you like to tinker around a lot with the images, that's probably fine. But I wanted to test it straight out the camera, as is and wide open, which makes it a little bit tricky, which is why I'm not sure. I'm convinced, bizarrely, that there's something better out there, so I'm not putting a bid in for this just yet, but I'm not crossing it off the list. I still think there's value in this lens. It is fun, it is solid, it is very well built, and it's not completely dud. I don't know, it's frustrating. What else do you want me to say? Well, no doubt I've left something out that's pretty important, and that's where you come in. Let us know your experience with this Sigma 8mm or any other fisheye lens for Canon. Let us know what you recommend. This is all about a conversation. Oh, and by the way, I'm not turning into a Canon fanboy. I still love my Fuji gear, but as I'm using Canon for video stuff, I thought it's only fair to have a good old play with this gear. Subscribe, get those comments going, and share the video. There's more to come. Should have just stuck with the fisheye, shouldn't I? For the whole video and drove you crazy. And that's the point.